Good evening, I'm Corporal Jared Huntley. Today we'll be conducting a class where we're moving under direct fire. Your references you'll find you're moving under direct fire is going to be FN 21-75 or under the reference number of 071-326-0502. Your task, you're going to be moving under direct fire or learning the process and standards of moving under direct fire. As my slide says, you're going to understand the basic steps of moving under direct fire to move within 100 meters of the enemy position. The condition, given a classroom environment, we're not outside, given a classroom environment, the risk level is going to be low. Although the risk level is going to be low, we are currently stationed in a hotel, so we ought to be aware of fire hazards and active shooter drills. Everyone has been briefed on the SOPs for the fire hazards. If there's a fire within the classroom, we're going to get the fire extinguisher in the corner of the room while you guys evacuate. If we're not able to handle the fire within the room, then we will evacuate accordingly to the SOP procedure. In accordance to active shooter, we're going to be following the SOP procedure. We're going to lock down the position, gain accountability. Once we gain accountability, we're going to move into the next step from our leadership and our chain of command. Moving forward to your standards. Once this class is conducted and once this class is conducted, the standard you are going to be set is to correctly understand and perform the fundamentals and standards to move correctly under fire. The 7 performance steps that you have of the moving directly under fire, you're going to select the route. Okay. Step number 2 is you're going to determine the correct individual movement that you want to move with under this route. Communication is key. That's going to be your step 3. Communication within this gunfight is going to be key so that each party of the team knows who's covering and who's moving within the position. 4 is going to be your high crawl method. 5 is going to be your low crawl method. 6 is going to be your 3 to 5 second rushes. And 7 is going to be covering the other team while they're maneuvering onto another position. Selecting the route before you move. Before the team begins movement, you're going to identify the 3 directions where you took contact from. Direction, distance, description if applicable. You're going to gain that identification and you're going to also gain accountability. Once those rounds first hit, you're going to hit the ground, you can gain accountability, you're going to look to your team leader is going to assess what the correct action and approach is going to be taken. When deciding the route that you want to take terrain that's more feasible to you to add cover and concealment to your position while moving on to the enemy position. When you're moving, you're going to have a slight angle between you and the target. So you're not going to forwardly directly engage the target, so you're going to set yourself as a linear casualty. You want to kind of horizontally direct yourself from the path of the target so that way you can have the cover and concealment that you're seeking. Determine the correct movements. This is the method of movements that you're able to perform during this movement on a direct fire. You got the low crawl, the high crawl, and 3 to 5 second rush like we assessed. The low crawl is going to be when terrain doesn't dictate something that's a foot over your head or body. So if it's low shrubbery that your body's not going to be able to be covered by, you're going to be low crawling. You're going to tuck your head in the ground, you're going to be low crawling the whole way. High crawling. High crawling is kind of obvious. High crawling is where terrain dictates or vegetation dictates where it's a foot above your body, where it kind of adds cover and concealment, but you're still not able to fully stand up and address the situation and run. Your 3 to 5 second rushes. What your 3 to 5 second rushes are going to look like is your covering party are going to say, I'm covering you, battle buddy. As they're covering you and covering fire on that objective and keeping their heads down, you're going to rush for 3 to 5 seconds. A good way to remember your 3 to 5 second rush is I'm up, he sees me, I'm down. Basic fundamentals. Within that 3 to 5 seconds, you're not rushing longer than 5 seconds. Okay. Once you hit that 5 seconds, get down, immediately assume the position, the prone position, and then just like they're demonstrated in here, position A, position B, position C, position D, position E, position F. You're going to assume, once you go from your 3 to 5 second rush, you're going to assume your firing position again, and you're going to pick up all the way back to position A. All right, moving along. Just like I assessed during communication is key during this process. Communicate to everyone within your team so everyone has an understanding of what's going on. Soldiers not moving, the stationary party will provide cover and fire. This will be established. A team, B team. B team will be covering fire, A team will be covering fire. However you have it set up. One will be moving, one will be covering fire. Utilizing equipment is also key. If you cannot use your hand and arm signals to ensure that both parties of the team understand what position they're playing in this contact, utilize your radio. Call up, be like, hey, you guys are staying, we're moving, this is where we're moving, this is what position we're moving, this is how long it's gonna take us to get there. How copy? And then they're gonna repeat it back to you. Cool, everyone's on the same page, so nothing gets screwed up. Communication is key. Communication. This kind of goes more into depth on how to use the high crawl method. It just shows your positioning on how to actually get into your high crawl method. If we're in an environmental setting where I was able to have a demonstrator or alternative instructor where I could get them on the ground to instruct you guys on how to properly get into your high crawl method, I would be able to do that. But again, we're in a classroom setting, so I found the descriptions for you guys. You guys can briefly read upon that to understand the high crawl method. But once you guys have read that, we're going to be moving on. This goes into your low crawl method, how to place your low crawl method. Same thing as the high crawl method. Just shows you how to get down. You notice in slide A, or the section A, their head is tucked down. Weapon is parallel with their body. The barrel of the weapon is not sticking up from the air. Okay, you're keeping a low silhouette within the ground. And then once you're able to move, once you're prepared to move, you're gonna bring your right knee or your left knee, you're gonna bring your right knee up to your hip, okay? Slowly inching forward. This is not a fast process at all. This is a slow, methodical process, okay? Once from B to C, it's gonna assume the same position as A, and continue that process until you reach the position that your team has decided, which is key. This also goes in your utilizing the 3 to 5 second rush. Just like we previously talked on the previous slide, I demonstrated the proper procedure of getting your 3 to 5 second rush. You got your A, B, C, D, E, and F. Just like the slide says, try not to stay up longer than 3 to 5 seconds, so that the enemy does not have time to track you with automatic fire. Moving on. Covering your buddy's movement within fire. So what this process is, once you guys have moved to your set position, for example, if A team said we're going here, and B team said they're covering fire, if A team is in their set position and moved and advanced in their set position, B team is now going to advance. So now you guys are going to switch positions of what job tasking you're doing. So A team, you're going to be providing covering fire, B team is going to be moving, and then vice versa. You're going to keep moving that until you're 100 meters within that enemy position, and you can do other battle drills, it's flanking, reacting to fire, stuff like that. Okay. Since we're not in an environmental setting, I'm going to give you guys an example of what this is going to look like. So initially, say you guys are in a wedge formation, 5 people at a minimum. All right, you guys take contact. Everyone gets down. Everyone gains accountability, gets online. A team and B team is usually going to be split up. A team, depending on if you're a team leader, squad leader, whoever you are. If you have a squad leader and team leader within that wedge formation, awesome. So the squad leader is going to take A team. Usually going to be the squad leader and 2 other individuals. The team leader is going to take that other individual to associate with that B team. Okay. Once that's established and both teams are set, A team and B team are both going to communicate, whether hand and arm signals or radio. They're going to both provide that communication to establish who's going to be moving first, who's going to be providing that cover fire. Okay, you're going to get the direction of contact and, if applicable, the description of the enemy target. Once the position is established, you establish the route you want to take, and then what movement you're going to take, whether it be a low crawl, high crawl, or 3 to 5 second rush. Once you establish the movement, A team is going to move out, B team is going to be providing that covering fire. Once A team is set in their position, B team is now going to take up the movement position while A team takes up the stationary position. And like I said previously before, A team and B team are going to kind of swap back and forth in order to complete this process until you're within 100 meters of the enemy target. Once you're within 100 meters of the enemy target, it's not addressed in this class, but it's a class further for later on. You can address it into Battle Drill 1 Alpha. What Battle Drill 1 Alpha is reacting to contact, flanking maneuvers. Once you're within 100 meters of that target, A team is now able to flank around while B team is providing that cover and fire, keeping their heads around and keeping them distracted. A team is actually able to flank around from their either side, left or right side, and engage the target. So now the enemy is getting engaged and pinched from 2 different targets. Cool. That breaks up my class for the most part. Providing any questions, comments, concerns. Is there any questions from the audience? And then if there's no questions, we're going to be conducting the AR. So today what was going to be happening within the class, I'm going to go back. Today what's going to be happening within the class, I was going to teach you guys moving under direct fire, okay? What did happen? I taught you guys how to move directly under direct fire. The tasking I've set for you guys was to understand the basic steps and fundamentals of moving under direct fire within 100 meters of the enemy position. The standards within this class and the information that I put in these slides, you should correctly understand the fundamentals and techniques to move in with 100 meters of the target to correctly perform moving under direct fire. Okay. And now, also within the class, if there's going to be any retrain material, retrain is going to be set at 1800. The uniform is going to be the same uniform, OCPs. Location is going to be the same location that we're pertaining to the class right now. It's going to be in the classroom environment. And then, okay. Based on the performance steps entitled, there's no retrains at this time. Everyone has conducted the training and performed the training to standard. So what was supposed to happen within the class was I was teaching you guys how to move directly under, or properly under direct fire. What did happen within the class was I taught you guys how to properly move under direct fire. When you look back to my original slide of the task and task standards that I've set for you guys, the task was to understand the basic fundamentals and techniques to move in within 100 meters of the enemy position. The standard, given the classroom presentation slide that I taught you guys today, you will now have the fundamentals and knowledge to correctly understand and perform the steps needed to properly move within 100 meters of the enemy position. Now, I would like to ask 2 sustains and 2 improves from the class. Let me hear 2 sustains.
All right, for my first sustain, I will say information within the class was informative and not overload with too much detail. My second one will be the PowerPoint slides help the learners understand the process of manning under direct fire.
And then let me get 2 improves.
My first one will be conduct this training within the field to get a hands-on experience. It's also good for soldiers to perform as well, because some soldiers are observing type of soldiers. The second one will be learn other battle drills incorporated with moving under direct fire.
Cool. That concludes my class today. Thank you guys for listening.